Hey y'all, welcome back to my modern homestead. My name is Janet, if you don't already know, and today is the day that we're ready to make our peach barbecue sauce. Now, I need to make this, but we can't make it unless we have the peaches, y'all. So I've got two options. I can go an hour and a half to Montezuma, a town I dearly love. It's got some great friends, and they grow their peaches there and bring them to their shed. Or I can go 45 minutes in the other direction, get the peaches, get home in the time it would just take me to get to Montezuma. The only thing is if I go to Montezuma, I could get 2 boxes of peaches for $22. Normally, and I jumped at it last night, I was like, oh yes, I'm going. But then I got to thinking about it. I don't have time to process 2 boxes. And I could get to Vidalia and back in the time it would just take me to get to Montezuma. So for this project, to do my barbecue sauce and my pepper jelly, I'm just going to get the few peaches I need in Vidalia, because we're not just straight canning these. Now, if I was just canning peach slices all day long, I would go to Montezuma and get the peaches from them, because I know that farm. I know their peaches are good. But anyway, today I've got lots to do. I'm tired. I didn't sleep. We got to get this thing done. Ooh, y'all, if you're following my weight loss, I woke up to 1 pound lighter this morning. So, hey, that's a little bit of motivation to get me going. Y'all ready? Let's go. Okay, y'all, we are home. I've got the peaches here. We're just about to get them washed. Look at this big old squash. I checked yesterday and it wasn't ready. But look at it. We had rain overnight. I guess it got big real quick. But at the farmer's market, we got all these peaches. This honey stick, I love to use these in my tea. And this big old Georgia tomato for $16.65. Now, we're going to get the peaches washed. I've got my bowl ready to peel the peaches, and I've got all the other ingredients ready to go to put in the barbecue sauce. Here's my secret ingredient. Y'all didn't see that, did you? I'm just kidding. I'll tell y'all anyway. But I'm using my Korean red pepper flakes for the red pepper flakes in this. My Georgia honey. Oh, I got to get out my peppers and onions. I have out the food processor because remember, I'm going to process the garlic, onions, and pepper to make them even finer than what I cut them. And then here on the stove, I've already got my jars out. I'm heating up the water. I'm going to let these boil for a few minutes, or just heat up till the jars get hot. So y'all ready? Let's get this peach barbecue sauce making party started. Now look, I'm not going to bore y'all silly. Y'all watching me wash and peel peaches. Y'all seen me do this on this channel 1,000 times, unless you're new. Now, if you're new, look up here in this corner. I'll post some videos to my peach peeling and processing videos. So y'all can check those out too to see how I peel them, wash them, peel them, and even how I process them if I'm doing something other than a sauce. I'll be back when all these are washed and chopped up. Now, I just told y'all the story and didn't even mean to. I do want to tell you, these peaches are harvester peaches. They are a June peach. I prefer July peaches. July peaches are usually your freestone peaches. That means when you're peeling them and you get down to the pit, when you're cutting them up, they come off the pit easily. These, I do believe, are a clingstone. That means they're going to cling to the pit of the peach and not come loose. But because I am just using these for a sauce, it's not that important. I can work with them. And I'll tell you too that if you go to a plant or an orchard or anywhere and they say that they're selling seconds, a recipe like this is perfect for seconds. Seconds on your produce means it's not the best of the best like you would find in a grocery store. It will probably have some blemishes in it. But y'all, it's just the sauce. You're going to chop it up and puree it up. It's not going to matter. So you can always get better prices on your second. So if you have that opportunity, go ahead and do that. Now, this is why I don't like a clingstone. See how this doesn't want to pop off? A clingstone will not do that easily. A freestone, those slices will come right off and not give you any problem. But what I'm going to do as I'm peeling them is just go ahead and measure them out into my big measuring cup. That way I'll know exactly when I can stop. So you have to actually cut them off. But now if I'm doing slices or putting peaches in the freezer, I usually like to go with my July or August peaches. I've done Baby Golds, Red Globes, Albertas, Flame Prints, June Prints. Those are the main ones that are sticking out in my mind. Those are excellent peaches. They're great for canning slices. But like I said, any peach will do for a sauce or something like that, or even pepper jelly like we're going to do. Chutneys, they're fine. No worries at all. So, I think that's all I wanted to tell you about that. So I hope if you're getting into doing peaches, that gives you a little bit of help. I know what it was. If you get peaches from a plant, if you get firsts and not seconds, usually those peaches are not going to be completely ripe. You're going to want to let those sit for a few days. I've had to let mine sit for a week before they got good enough. See, this one's a little bit hard still. Your soft peaches, the skin will peel right off and not give you a problem. But the longer they sit and the riper they get, the sweeter they will get. Now, just a word of caution on that. If you find baby golds, your baby golds will not turn. Oh, I wish I had shown you. See how it's not really showing up in here, but it's a little green on top. Your really ripe peaches won't have that green. Once they ripen up, they'll be the pretty peach color. But the baby golds, they're not going to turn like a regular peach, and they're not going to get soft like a regular peach until it's too late. If a baby gold gets soft, it's usually rotten on you. So I would just give them a few days. Smell them. They smell peachy. They're usually ripe. Yes, I look weird going into stores smelling produce, but it hasn't failed me yet. If it smells ripe, it's usually ripe. And if it doesn't, I normally leave it alone. I just cut them in wedges all the way around. And these that are clingstone, I just go around cutting. Now to do the sauce, you do want them pretty fine. I'm not going to be particular. They're going to break down as you cook, and I can take the immersion blender and break them up even further. All right, we'll be back when we're all finished. Okay, I've got all the peaches cut up, and I'm praying the measurements on this big glass measurement cup are not correct, because if they are, I'm going to have to find more peaches somewhere. So we're going to measure out 12 cups 2. I'll be right back when I get them all measured out. This, in fact, was correct. This is only about 10 cups of peaches. Oh, my stars. But, y'all, I was saved by my preservation. I just so happen to have sliced up peaches in my freezer. So I'm going to taste these, make sure they don't taste like freezer. If they're good, we're using them. Or else I'm going to have to go to the store. I just tasted these. I think they're okay. They don't taste like freezer. So I'm going to just dump them in here. They're not fine slices, but I'll run the immersion blender through. So now let's go ahead and chop up, tried to wipe down the counter, the peppers and onions and garlic. Okay, there are 2 cups of onions and 2 cups of peppers. If you saw my video yesterday, you saw that we went ahead and got that ready to try to save some time today. And the recipe calls for 6 tablespoons of finely chopped garlic. So I'm not going to measure. I'm just going to guess that 2 to 3 cloves would be about a tablespoon. So there's 1, 2, and 6. Looks good. All right, now we're just going to chop this up finely. We'll use more of this tomorrow or the next day when we make, sorry, that's loud. We'll use more of this when we make pepper jelly. Okay, look at our peppers and onions, y'all. They're so pretty. See how fine they are? You know what? I need a spatula. Hold on. All right. Let's put this into the pan with all the peaches. The hard part is over. All we've got to do now is get everything in here and let it cook. All right. Okay. I didn't show it, but I just took a few seconds and cleaned up that food processor stuff in the bowl I messed up to measure with. Now, let's add our other ingredients. This is 4 teaspoons of salt, 4 teaspoons of dry mustard, 4 teaspoons of pepper flakes, my Korean pepper flakes. I just love the color of them. Whoops. Keep them in the bowl, Janet. And then we have 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire. All right. Now we're going to add to all of that our apple cider vinegar. This is 1.5 cups. Alrighty. And we need to add our 32 ounces of honey. I prefer a local honey. If I had thought about it ahead of time, I would have actually gone to the farmer's market that I like to go to right up the road. There's a man there that sells his honey right off of his farm. But I didn't think about it in time. But this, in part, is Georgia honey. There is honey in here from other beekeepers in the United States. But at least it's got Georgia honey in it. Georgia honey, Georgia peaches, Georgia onions. I don't know about the bell peppers. If my garden had been ready, those would have been Georgia Georgia peppers. All right, let's let this take forever. I'll be right back. All right, y'all, what do you say we take it to the stove? All right. Now let's turn this on to a medium-high heat. Give it a good stir. Get it all mixed together. Oh, it's so pretty already. Now what we're going to do is, once we get it all stirred together, we're going to let it come up to a rolling boil. And I'll say a rolling boil, just a good boil. And then we're going to turn it down and let it boil gently for anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes. You're just wanting to let it reduce a little bit to have a thin sauce. I will have to probably run, like I told you, the immersion blender through it since I've got those big chunkus. What is wrong with me? Oh, those big chunks of peaches. So, sitting here watching a pot boil is like watching paint dry. I won't make you suffer. But I did not tell you, I'm turning my jars onto high to get them hot. And once they get hot, I will just turn them down on low to keep them good and warm until this is ready. So pretty, so pretty. Alrighty, friends, we are at a boil. So now we're just going to let it boil gently for as long as it takes. We just want it to reduce down to a thin sauce consistency. I'm guessing around 30 to 45 minutes. But if you're doing this at home, make sure you stir it often. This will stick on the bottom and you don't want it to burn. So just come by, run a spoon around the bottom, make sure nothing's sticking. I just turned this off for a second because I'm going to go ahead and run the blender through this, because I remember last time doing this, you couldn't tell what the sauce consistency was because it was too chunky. So let's go ahead and blend this up. This is extremely hot. Make sure you keep the blender down in and up under the peaches. And if you're doing something this hot, make sure you are using a heavy-duty blender or you will tear it up or melt it. And that would not be a good thing. Okay, our sauce is starting to get thick. Look at that. We don't want it real thick. And our jars are over here in the canner. They're hot. Now, while I've been waiting on this, I went ahead and got everything ready. Let me turn y'all around where you can see. I've got everything ready. I've got something to sit the pan on, the sauce, when it comes off the stove. I've got my ladle, my funnel. I've got my lids washed. I've got rings and my jar gripper. So when this comes off the stove, we'll be ready to go. Everything's ready. We don't have to stop and do anything. Okay, the last thing I want to do is add 2 tablespoons of chipotle flavored hot sauce. I like this because it's not super spicy and hot, but it has the most amazing flavor. This is the brand I use, not sponsored whatsoever. I just love this. I never liked hot sauce until I tried it, and now I like it on so many things. It's just a nice, rich, smoky flavor. So there we go, y'all. We are just about ready. Just let that warm a little bit in there. We're going to jar it up. Jar it up, Buttercup. One way to test your sauce is to get it on the back of a spoon and let it cool down and run your finger through it and see how it doesn't run and fill in the gap. Your sauce is decently thick by then. Let's take this over to the counter and jar it up. Oops, I just realized I left the jars. We might want to get those. There we go now. Oh, that's heavy. Now be super careful. This is very hot. You do not want to get this on you. So all we're going to do now is fill the jars to 1/2 inch headspace. This is much easier if you use a funnel. These are 8-ounce jars, but you can use the 8-ounce, you can use a pint, you can use a pint and a half, or not a pint and a half, but 12-ounce jar. Now what I like to do, or what you should do, is wipe off the rim of your jar really well. And we need to debubble the jar. To debubble, I just run my wooden spoon or a plastic utensil, something with a flat edge. Just run it around, make sure there's no bubbles in there. If there are and it messes up your headspace, just add more to adjust that. Put a lid on and your rings. When the jar starts turning, it's tight enough. There we go. And then we'll sit these in the canner. This jar, I forgot to take some out, and this lid is rusty. I'm not going to use it. Let me take just a little bit of sauce out of this jar. That happens sometimes when you get in a hurry. It's no big deal. Just use a spoon and get it out. I have more sauce left, so I'm going to have to get another jar. Let's put these in the canner. Hey, I didn't have enough room for enough of the small jar, so I had to use a pint jar. Now, no, I didn't sterilize it, but y'all, as long as whatever you're canning, you boil it for at least 10 minutes, you do not have to sterilize your jars. I generally do like to get them hot, but you do what you gotta do. Now, the last thing we need to do is to put enough water in here to cover the tallest jars by at least 1 inch of water. Okay, let's check it. Up to there, we are good. And we're going to put the lid on and let this come up to a rolling boil. And when it starts boiling, not until then, but when it starts a rolling boil, then we will set the timer for 15 minutes. Now that we've got the pan or the canner turned off, we're going to just leave everything sitting here for at least 5 minutes until the water is completely still before we ever try to remove the jars. Okay, let's move them to the cooling table. There we go, my friends. Another year of perfect, zesty peach barbecue sauce. A little bit of smoky chipotle twist. I hope you all enjoyed the video. I enjoyed you being here and bringing you along and showing you the process and a little bit of the time management. So everyone, until we meet again, may you be blessed. Love you guys. Bye-bye.